Hello, young humans. My name is Teacher Aragon, but you also might know me as Teacher Stephanie. Things have been a lot different for us lately. If they've been different for you too, you can practice the sign for same. Me too. Since I can't see students at school right now, I'm going to be recording some videos to help you use your thoughtful and creative brains at home. I hope that they are meaningful, but I also hope that they're fun, because in my opinion, learning should be fun. Do you agree? Me too. The type of writing that we will be exploring together is poetry, which is perfect because April is Poetry Month. And today I want to give you the opportunity to be a historian. A historian is someone that studies things that happen in time across history. By writing down what life is like, people far in the future can read what you wrote and know what life was like in the past for us. Writing about your life might not seem very interesting, but people in the future might live a lot differently, and they might be really curious what life was like for us in the year 2020. I hope that this is a chance for you to record your history and your thoughts and feelings right now while we're away from school due to the coronavirus. And maybe one day teachers will read your poem to teach other kids about what life was like for us right now. If you're like me and you'd like to imagine people far in the future reading your writing, then that means people in the future are your audience. Writers often think about their audience when deciding what to write. What would be interesting for my audience? What questions might my audience have? Would my audience understand this, or should I explain more? And before we begin, I have one very important thing to tell you, and that is that we will not be judging or grading your poems or deciding if they're good or bad, and it should not be stressful. But I hope that you feel inspired to create something, and I bet if you do, you'll feel really proud. Next week, we'll talk about different kinds of poetry. But for today, I wanted to start us off by talking about a poet that inspired me. His name is Jorge Argueta. Jorge was born in El Salvador and is an award-winning poet. He's also an author to many children's books, including A Movie in My Pillow and Salsa. He wrote a comparative poem. That is a poem that compares what is the same and different about two or more things. I'll read it in Spanish first because Jorge originally wrote it in Spanish. Some of you might know that I'm starting to learn Spanish, but I might make some mistakes. I know that that's okay because I'm still learning and practicing. If you don't understand Spanish, I'd say listen carefully and see if you can guess or figure out what some of the words mean. Las maravillas de la ciudad. Aquí, en esta ciudad, todo es maravilloso. Aquí los mangos vienen enlatados. En El Salvador crecen en árboles. Aquí las gallinas vienen en bolsas de plástico. Allá se dormían junto a mí. Wonders of the city. Here, in the city, there are wonders everywhere. Here, mangoes come in cans. In El Salvador, they grew on trees. Here, chickens come in plastic bags. Over there, they slept beside me. Now I'll give you a moment to think. What is Jorge comparing in this poem? In this poem, I hear Jorge say here and there a lot. That makes me think that Jorge is comparing places. The here in this poem is a city, and the there in this poem is a place called El Salvador. That's a country in Central America. Right now is when I wish that I could hear all of your wonderful ideas of what we could compare in our poems. But you can pause the video and write down what you are thinking about, and maybe that could be what you write about in your poem. I'll share 2 ideas of different comparative poems that you can try out. The first one is a here and there poem, like Jorge's, comparing places. Comparing 2 different places that you know. Could be a place that you live now and a place that you used to live. It could be a place that's special to you or your family. It's totally up to you. This is your poem. The second type of poem that you can try is a now and before poem. This is a poem comparing across time. And I thought that this might be interesting because things for us are really different now than they were before. You could talk about how school and learning is different now, or you could talk about how your day is different from now and before. Do you wake up at the same time? Do you see the same people? After you write your poem, you get to decide if you would like to share it. Sometimes when I write something, I decide, you know what, this is just for me, and that's okay. But if you would like to share it with me, I would love to read it. Now is when the fun part starts. I'm going to give you 3 ideas of how you can create your own comparative poem. The first option is to use a template that I will share with you. There will be one for a now and before poem, comparing time, and there will be one comparing here and there, comparing place. So the first option is to use a template to create your poem. That will have fill in the blanks. The second option is to create your own poem from scratch with a blank start and just be able to record your own thoughts and ideas freely. The third option is that if you are not feeling able to write, you can get a piece of paper or anything you can draw on, and you can draw a picture of now and before. It would be useful to label your picture. I know we were working on that with our scientific drawings, so maybe arrows and labels and captions might help us to understand your poem as well. And I want to emphasize that this project is extremely flexible and is really a way for you to express yourself and record your ideas. You can write or draw on the back of an old envelope. You can write or draw on the computer if you want, or on a phone, whatever works for you. And I can't wait to hear all of the creative and unique ways that you think to share your thoughts and ideas with me, if you are comfortable, our classmates, and maybe even the people of the future. Your poem is yours, and you get to decide how to write it. I hope that this idea of recording your own history is exciting for you. I'd love to hear about how you are doing. I miss you all, and until next time, I'll end by saying thank you for learning with me.